Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always, I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Zach Ingo Finch. How you doing, Zach?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's a bit of a weird time period we're in. It's like it's almost Christmas. It's also just
It's like the
strange
Crimbo
time to
Limbo
be.
has come early.
It's weird.
And now we're hitting you with our second bonus episode of the week. Just all of the content coming to your ears.
So much to talk about.
There really is.
So much to talk about.
And after lots and lots of talking about the manager, today we are back to the core elements that we care about. We are back to the football. It is match day at Craven Cottage, and we are, we're going to kick a ball about. I guess, how do you think, we saw a positive response on Wednesday from the players. Do you think that that's going to carry on? Is it possible for it to carry on in these sort of tumultuous times?
Yes, I know. Obviously, at this point, Ivan Juric's supposed to be our new manager, barring anything absolutely insane happening in the next couple of hours from time of recording. That should still be the case. I think he might be in charge Sunday or not. I think from the players' perspective, though, you will be wanting to impress, surely, because you have a new manager coming in. You will want to be getting minutes, especially after, there's a real risk that some of our regulars might never appear again, depending on whether or not they do the right things for the new manager. So I think that there will be an active case for everybody to pull their socks up and do their best today. But yeah, it's difficult. There was quite a few players that came on as subs and impressed. It would be really interesting to see the team selection again, because obviously I said that last time round and it ended up being pretty much the same. But I think the big difference was the sheer amount of rotation meant that we kind of saw pretty much everybody.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who makes it into the mix, and it'll be interesting. What's really interesting? The thought that's just hit me is if our new approach is going to lean towards uber fit and pressing the ball hard and all of that. And I mean, does that really rule the end of Adam Lallana for us, or does he find a place under that system as an impact sub more than anything?
You say the end of Adam Lallana, I say the end of potentially more than a few players. You've got a lot of injury-prone players who can't really manage the full 90 without having problems. One of the casualties that we've already seen of the last sort of season and a half that we kind of forget about is Ross Stewart, who is a name that we kind of forget about. There are a few other, Will Smallbone's been out for an extremely long time now. There are a few players that are
and Larry
a bit
Oss,
more...
he still plays for us, doesn't he?
Well, I'm sure he trains with us at least, but there's a few players that they're going to have to show, and this is why you might end up seeing potentially some people return. I think there's a lot of emphasis putting on defensively shoring us up a bit more, and with that will probably require a bit of speed. So yeah, I think that potentially it's the end of Lallana in that sense. I don't think that there was ever really, judging by how much he's been out this season, he was going to be here for a significantly large amount of time, at least in a player sort of role. It would be interesting to see if the club decide to do anything with him afterwards. I think he probably would be keen to, but it depends. They might, Jurek might come in and decide that he wants to trust somebody who's got that veterancy, who has had experience in the league, and if he turns around and says, though, I can only give you 45 minutes, it'll be like, well, actually, I'd rather you have none because we want someone to have the 90. So, yes, it's good, but it's exciting to go back to what you've spoken about previously when it comes to that, which is, your worry about the fitness sort of levels of the squad. Well, maybe now this will change things and we will get back to sort of being that Southampton that a lot of people remember from way back when we had these ridiculously quick players and everyone was a bit more like Shane Long.
We can only hope. Just better at shooting. Sorry,
Much better.
a bias coming back there from many years ago. there's been a lot of speak about us, and we've talked obviously a lot about us, but actually, Fulham come into this game on a hot run of form, right? So, at the start in November, they lost 4-1 to Wolves in a shocking defeat from them. But since then, they have drawn with Liverpool, drawn with Arsenal, beat Brighton, and drawn with Spurs, which are, there's some big names to get results from there, even if it's only a draw. Do you think that, without trying to be defeatist, does it matter what we do if they're playing that well? Are they
You
just going
you
to come
never
in and beat us
you never
comfortably?
underestimate a club in the top of the table, right? Like, regardless of whether or not people consider it to be like a one-off season or whatever, to be able to get up there, you need to be able to win games, and you need to be able to dismantle opponents and beat them, and to be able to sort of play out draws against these sort of bigger sides and beat some of the other ones. And it depends what your opinion is of Spurs, whether you think that that's a top side or not. But they've shown that they are doing you know they've showing that they are up there with the big boys, and ultimately that's how we need to treat them. I think that saying, "Oh, well, is there a chance?" Well, if we played every game like that, we'd lose 5-0 every week. But we seem to have given Liverpool a run for their money this season. City, but then that's not really hard at the moment, and we still lost. Arsenal as well. Like we historically have always performed better against the bigger clubs, but I also think again there's more. Fulham don't have as much to lose on Sunday as that we do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is for me the big difference as to why there is hope for optimism, and that we saw that we are capable of doing things that we've not been able to do in a while. Hopefully Ramsdale's back and we have a better goalkeeper in between the sticks who will no longer be trying to do crazy things, who hopefully will be able to play his distribution to his advantage a little bit better than having our third and fourth choice goalkeeper. But again, it's also understanding that Fulham do have a hot run of form for a reason. It's because they are currently a very, very good side, and we're just going to have to try and be at our A game. It's whether or not, hopefully the week has gone by without disrupting everything too much, and hopefully the lads can sort of focus on the football at hand and not worry too much about who's going to be in charge and this, that, and the other, and look forward to a good game. Is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and nice Sunday afternoon right before Christmas. It's fine. It's not 7 o'clock on a Sunday, so it's a much better time for a fixture.
It's not
Throwing that
late
one out
night. You're not trying to get home at 10 p.m. through the city centre. So yeah, no,
Not that
I
I
agree
will
with you.
unfortunately be travelling up to Craven Cottage, but I will be comfortably watching from my sofa for sure. Okay, so we're going to try to guess the impossible next and do a predicted lineup. But first, a message from our partners at Zencaster. So, here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencaster came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencaster. Okay, mate. So it's predicted lineup time, and we might as well pick them from a hat. But we'll give it a go. Let's do it instead of what we think is going to happen. How would you line the team up based off of what we've seen from our performances in the week? So, I mean, number one in goal, we want Ramsdale back, right?
Yeah, you want Ramsdale, you want Taylor Harwood, Bellis, and Bednarek, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You want, if Kyle Walker Peters is fit and available, I would like Kyle Walker Peters in.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably also want Sugawara in, just because of how attacking he was the other day.
So far, we're in complete agreement.
And this is
Good.
probably where we're going to start to differ slightly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I would like us to go to four at back. We are probably going to go through at the back. So I imagine Wood is in there as well. I would say Matty Fernandez, Aribo, and Lallana, and then potentially Paul and Archer up top.
Oh, that's spicy. I like that.
Yeah, because if Flynn's carrying something, or if he's not, I think you need to break. something wasn't that great last game. But I think again, I want Lallana to come in and be the veteran head and produce some sort of magic. And I'm also very aware that I also keep telling you that I still think, as much as Tyler Dibling's amazing, I think bringing him off the bench is a much better thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Having
it gives us that depth off the
Yeah.
bench, which we don't have otherwise. So,
And we've been begging for Archer and
Yeah.
Tall Paul up top for so long now that it's just going to become an ongoing joke. We're never going to see it. We're
is
going
that too attacking? Like,
to.
I know that Flynn didn't have the best game and hasn't been performing out of his skin recently, but does replacing him in that midfield with Lallana leave the back five too exposed? Back three, I guess. Or actually, what we need to push us on.
I think it's what we need to start to see a difference, because with having it's not mattered previously. We've conceded tons of goals regardless of whether we've played attacking or slightly more defensively, because the vast majority of our issues were individual errors. If we can defend as well as we did the other day, I would be happy, because one of the goals was admittedly another silly mistake, which it doesn't matter how many people you stick at the back or how defensively you line up. If we accidentally kick the ball back and the goalkeeper makes a decision, it's not the best decision, as I know that you've also pointed out.
You can class that in the same category as the other mistakes we've seen.
No, but
I think that was unlucky on 2 counts and the conditions were to blame.
That is my point, though, is that that would have changed had we had an extra defensive midfielder in there, in my opinion. Like, Bednarek went for the ball, the combination of the conditions, and they pounced it. The second goal was just a very well worked goal from Liverpool, because Liverpool were a very good side, and we are going to concede those goals regardless. So what is there to lose at this point? We already go into nearly every game expecting 0 points. At this point, we were happy the other day. We only got beaten by 2, and we managed to score. Like I predicted a result for the first time in, I think, the entirety of the time I've been on this podcast. And that was sort of an optimistic
I only
prediction.
predict Saints win, so it's only up from here. I'm
True.
just saying.
But we had 2 games where we conceded 5. So where I'm at is that this is the league. It's important. They have a point to prove. I think how are we ever going to? We need to start scoring more than 1 or 2 goals a game to be able to at least give the strike force the confidence back to do that. Because they just, again, like at the moment, you're having players in the box that bless Tall Paul's ridiculous miss the other day.
Ludicrous.
But if you've got a lot of people in there, like we had so many opposition touches in the box, we need to start being able to put them away. And again, I don't think at this point we've got a huge amount to lose. If
and you're right, for all of the mick I like to take out of Tall Paul, and don't get me wrong, he is not a good football player. He held the ball up all right, and actually with the ball at his feet, he held off 2 or 3 players and distributed the ball out as a beautiful pass. Or maybe not a good football player is a bit harsh. Not a good striker, I think, is what I mean.
I think that's what you mean, mate.
He's all right, but man, that miss is. It's going to take a lot for me to recover for him. My opinion of him was already not the highest. It's going to take a lot.
Yeah, but I will. The only thing I'll point out is I know that I said it's very similar to me doing that when I was a kid. But the difference is I was on dry ground in the middle of the summer, and that man is 6'27", and it was absolutely heaving down with rain, and you saw more than a few slides. So if your foot slides a little bit too much and your foot is also 10 times the size of everybody else's,
how could he have judged the weather system? It was different by his feet than his head. I don't know, mate. If that's for me.
I don't know. I just feel there's a lot of
I mean, in those same conditions, we saw the goal from Archer, which was truly a fantastic goal, created off of his own back. He got himself in the position, he got the ball out of his feet, shuffled it to the right position, and curled it where the keeper couldn't reach it. There's not.
Look, you're the optimist of the podcast, mate. All I'm trying to do is. But again, I just think we would like to see them both, right? That's what we've
I
asked
think that
for,
they
and
will
it would
work
be
well
nice to see
together.
it. Yeah,
Because I think their strengths play to each other, and as much as I take the mick and joke about, there is definitely something that Paul can bring to the team. And having a player to be there to pick up the ball when we can boot it up to him and he can hold 3 players off. Like, he was holding 3 pretty good Liverpool defenders off, so he could probably hold off 6 Fulham players. That's how it works. It's maths.
but I guess that's
I'm just saying that, you know, that as part of an introduction to our team where we work, that one of the questions that gets asked regularly in a somewhat joking capacity is, how many toddlers do you think you could take in a fight? And I'm just saying that Paul's number of that's got to be pretty high.
You're right. So yeah, is there any huge differences you would make then? Would you keep Flynn in the team, or would you think it's maybe
No, I
time to see
think
something
that.
exciting?
I think that knowing that he was carrying a knock and he's not been performing up to the task, I think maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to see what this team looks like without him in it, and if it's a shame, but you're right. He'll probably get on the pitch if we're playing Lallana, because I don't see Lallana lasting 90 minutes. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and what else do you do? Maybe you bring on Big Les instead, and that's. Can you
If we're
imagine
bad, we're
Big
bad.
Les and Tall Paul playing on the pitch at the same time?
Nuts. But like, if we're bad, we're bad. Again, like we've conceded 10 goals our last 2 league games.
Yeah.
Sorry, 12 goals in the last 3 league games. I forgot the Villa game in between there because I was so disheartened by all of that. But do you
Yeah.
see what I mean? Like, it's where
No,
I'm
you're
at
right.
is
Something's
if
got to
it's a
change.
chance to change something now, it's a chance to experiment that. And also, if we play that way and it ends up absolutely awful and it turns out that they're not a good strike force, at least we've learned that lesson now before the new manager comes in.
Yeah,
And
because
then also we can shut up about it.
even if he is in the dugout on Sunday, there's zero impact he's going to have been able to have on the team by this point. Like, it's even less time than Simon Rusk had heading into the Liverpool game. So it's madness to expect it to turn around overnight. But it will be, I guess, in that respect, it's kind of a free hit. So hopefully we take from that. And you're right, hopefully they just play out their skin and prove themselves worthy. That's what we can hope. Okay,
Indeed.
so we will move on to the dreaded score predictions and think about that after a message from our partners at the Global Sports Podcast Network.
The Global Sports Podcast Network is changing the face of football podcasting with dedicated daily content for every Premier League team, women's football, fantasy football, and a daily Premier League wrap-up broadcasted in 5 different languages. This is your one-stop shop for your daily football fix. Find GSPN wherever you find your usual podcasts.
Okay, so I have a very bad memory, Zach, so I cannot remember what you predicted on our crossover episode on Friday.
You thought it was too high scoring because I said 3-2.
Yeah.
And that's because I think we'll go 2-0 down, and I think there is the chance for them to be able to recover that mentality. And then I'd love to see Paul get at least a goal before he probably goes in January. And I'd like to see Archer follow up and get another 2 from last weekend to show that he is the striker we know he's capable of being. So that's where I'm at. And the Fulham goals will come, as I pointed out to my friends gathered over at Fulham, is that it could come from literally any one of their players that attack us from near our back post.
Okay, look,
Or
I
back line.
come armed with statistics to back up my
Good.
opinion, right?
Right.
So in the previous 12 matches between Fulham and Southampton, there have been an average of 2.4 goals. And both teams to score has only happened 42% of the time. So history states it's not a high scoring fixture.
History states there is a
that same summary also follows it up with what is now becoming the running weekly joke of Southampton are in very poor away form. So,
like XG and every other statistic that you can throw out under the sun, mate. Especially in regards to historical, is that, well, that's lovely, but historically we had completely different players and different managers, so it's all garbage, isn't it? It's like, especially us, like we change like the weather at the moment, so who knows? That's where I'm at. What about you, mate? Where are you at? What do you think? Do you
look,
remember?
I think I went for a 1-0.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling like that might be a bit too optimistic because a clean sheet's a lot to ask. So maybe I'm thinking 2-1.
Say we're drawing, or is it going to be a 2-1?
I think a 2-1 win. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see us keeping a clean sheet. That would be far too much to ask. But I just don't see it being the goal fest you anticipate. And if it is a goal fest, I don't see us scoring 3. So
That's why look. We've switched positions, mate. This is great. What time to be alive? Christmas miracle, mate.
I think that Archer will get on the score sheet, and a Taylor Harwood Bellis header probably.
Can't even have our strikers scoring twice, mate. I love it. You truly are becoming me. Right.
But yeah,
What a day.
yeah. But look, it's going to be a game. I don't know. It's such a tough one to predict, right? Because of all of the uncertainty and all of the moving parts going into it. And realistically, because all of that, even if it is the worst case scenario and something disastrous happens, I don't think you can read anything into it. And in the best case scenario, where we go on and win 9-0, it's you can't take a lot from that either. Probably is the upsetting part. So
Yeah, you're right.
I think what you could take from that, I guess, is that the players have a bit about them to get to that point, which is hope for the rest of the season. But look, this is the point where it doesn't really matter, but it could kickstart the rest of our season. And mathematically speaking, right, we've got 22 games. Champions League still up for grabs.
Mathematically speaking, mate, there's probably a formula out there that is if you give a certain amount of pigs wings, they can probably fly or maybe even operate a plane. If you mathematically speaking.
Well,
mathematically
let
speaking,
us
mate.
know in the comments which of those things you think is more likely to happen. I can't wait to see them. Zach, thank you very much for joining me today, mate.
Pleasure,
We
mate.
hope you've enjoyed our bonus content on this Sunday morning match day. And we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow when we're buzzing about a 9-0 win. That's what I'm going for. Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.